Yeah, one thing you definitely want for the winter time is Posi Traction, because if you got one wheel gets on ice, you get stuck. And I know a lot of people today got four-wheel drives, but I remember back in the day when I had my '69 Roadrunner convertible for so many years, I had a Posi Traction in that thing, one of those 8 3/4 sure grip Chryslers, and that thing was such a good Posi Traction, it was like a locker. But I put a limited slip in a Chevy a long time ago. It's actually just a 10 bolt, but I put new gears in it, Moser axles, a long time ago. The axles, the Moser makes a little thicker heat treating in the axles, because these type of axles, the bearing rests right on the axle itself, and it was set up right and everything. So it's a Posi Traction. The way you tell, if you turn one wheel, they don't go in opposite directions, they'll go in the same direction. So look, if I'm turning it backwards, see, turn it forward, the brake's kind of holding it. You can see it goes in the same direction. So now that's extremely important, because if you got a good amount of meat on the tires, like these are actually Walmart. So you notice your pipe. Let me do this with a foot. You see they're going in the same direction. Well, it's called emergency brake. A little bit too tight. There it goes. If they go in the opposite direction, you got to open and rear. Now the other thing is tires. Now these are just Walmart extra track all season tires, but you notice they're pretty damn beefy. These are the most beefy all season tires I've ever seen. Actually, I put them on my Jeep. They're cheap, they don't cost you much money. But if you got Posi Traction and chains and winter tires, you don't need four-wheel drive pretty much for anything. Because I remember my dad had two different cars. He had a '62 Polaris station wagon, open and rear. He used to put the brand new snow tires on the back with the chains and put shit in the trunk in the station wagon. In the back, that thing would plow through snow up over the bumper. And also the '65 Falcon with a C4 transmission with the 176 cylinder lightweight car, go right through the snow like nothing. So now this thing, I've had it up in snow actually in New Jersey in '95, '96, when they had the most snow ever recorded in history, in their entire history. And it did just fine, actually. It did just fine. I had this Posi Traction rear in it, but I really got it for the mud. And I'll show you something else I did. And I really had it for the mud. Now you look at this catalytic converter. You're wondering, why do I have it double clamped? Why do I have I have the clamp up there on the Y pipe, and I also have a double radiator clamp holding this clamp to that clamp. Why is that? Because I used to take this thing out in the mud and the sand, and I used to rip off this stupid catalytic converter all the time, and actually broke the Y pipe a couple times. That's been changed, and I'm going to be putting an exhaust system on it here probably tomorrow. But that's something else that you should if you got an old car, to make sure you got extra supports on the exhaust system. This thing's getting changed, but you notice there's one there, there's one down there. I actually I put a lot more stuff on it, because I don't want this damn thing getting knocked off in the mud and the snow and all this other kind of crap. That's another thing, because when you're driving around in the wintertime, sometimes you could smack some ice on the bottom, and it's almost like hitting a rock. It could knock this damn thing right off. So I've actually busted the Y pipe a couple times. I've knocked this freaking catalytic converter off a bunch of times. I knocked that pipe off a bunch of times, but not since I put double clamps on it, that extra strap. And I put, those are two extra hangers. There's one right after the catalytic converter and one over there. So, but the thing is, you want to do all that stuff and get it ready. Winter's already here. I'm in Florida now, so I don't have to worry about this shit. But even when I was in Southern California, I had this thing out in the mud a lot of times, and I bottomed it out. So, you know, you want to make sure this thing, your exhaust system, besides having a Posi Traction, your exhaust system is really solid. But that's how you tell you have a Posi Traction. I'll be putting a what do you call it, a Lock-Right locker in a Jeep, which is going to be a lot more involved than putting it on a Chevy. If you just got an open-end rear on a Chevy, the only thing you really got to do, a lot of times you don't have to take nothing out. You just got to unbolt the pinion, and you might have to grind something to remove the pinion to get it to slide it out, but it's a lot easier. The Samurai Jeep is going to be a pain in the ass, got a lot more shit to do, but you definitely do want a locker or a Posi for the winter time. And the way to tell is, like, both wheels will spin in the same direction. Now these were a little tight for me to spin because I have that emergency brake, so I only have to press it down 2 clicks to lock it in place really good. So it's adjusted kind of tight, but you know, so anyway, just want to put this out because you know, if you got a Posi Traction, you got some good snow tires, and you got chains, and you get a hell of a lot of snow in the wintertime, and you got your exhaust system like really bolted down, really super solid like that, you're not going to have any problem. You're not going to really need a 4-wheel drive. I remember my dad with the 65 Falcon with the chains and a 62 Polaris, I think it was a 62 or 63 Polaris station wagon with the 273 V8 and a push-button transmission. Put some chains and weight in the back of that sucker, man. Some good snow tires, man. You could practically use it like a plow. You don't need a 4-wheel drive. Does some weight in the back and some chains, but if you got a Posi and all that, man, you'll cook. You'll cook. You don't need it. So that's how you tell if you have a Posi or not. But if you don't have one, especially on the old GMs, you can. It's not that hard to change actually to put the Lock-Right locker in it versus a Posi. Like when I put this Posi in the back of that thing, you know, I had to take the whole rear out, put new axles in it, you know, change the carrier, set up the ring and pinion preload, the whole damn 9 yards. Putting just a Lock-Right in a GM is pretty easy. Putting one in a Samurai, it's going to be a little more involved, but you'll see how that's done when I get the that deal comes in.